Hey everyone, it's Nicole with Celestial Messages here with your full moon in Scorpio podcast for the month. And I would just like to say happy full moon to everybody. And this is considered a lucky full moon because it is known as the Buddha full moon. So it is believed that the Buddha was born on this moon, he was enlightened on this moon, and he died on this moon. So a lot of people, especially like in the Buddhist tradition, really hold this moon with a lot of importance. So a full moon happens when the moon and the sun oppose each other. And the full moon this month is in the sign of Scorpio, which is a passive fixed water sign. So things that Scorpio rule over are intensity, passion, suspicion, revealing things that are hidden and cannot yet be seen, regenerating, and being resourceful. When you take a look at the opposition being created from the moon in Scorpio to the sun in Taurus, they are both fixed signs, so they're kind of both stubborn in their ways, and both of the signs are concerned with money, sex, and power, but in very different ways. So Taurus is about building up, and Scorpio is about breaking down. Taurus is about security, while Scorpio is about temptation. And Scorpio is about psychic energies, deep connections, and interest in the soul, while Taurus is more about physical security and possessions. So there's kind of like a tension and a pulling between these two areas that these two signs represent. And we have to find a way to kind of meet in the middle and work with those two energies together. So let's start off right away with taking a look at Pluto, because Pluto rules over the sign of Scorpio. I don't know where that came from. And Pluto is one of the first planets to go retrograde, and it went retrograde on April 26, 2020. And basically what a retrograde is when a planet appears to be going backwards from our viewpoint on Earth. And so when that happens, the planets come closer to Earth and the energy is stronger. So this Pluto retrograde started retrograding at 24 degrees of Capricorn and will end at 22 degrees of Capricorn. So it's going to end at the same place where Saturn and Pluto originally conjuncted back in January 2020. 24 degrees and 22 degrees are very important places this year. Before the Pluto retrograde in April, Jupiter and Pluto formed a conjunction at 24 degrees of Capricorn on April 4th. They will meet up at this spot again on June 30th. And then the 22 degree mark, Pluto goes direct in October, and then Jupiter and Pluto conjunct on November 12th again. So Pluto is retrograde right now. What does that mean? You need to truly commit to your own inner work and secrets before you can have an impact on what is going on in society and the collective. So to understand the retrograde a little bit better, let's take a look at things that Pluto represents. So Pluto represents transformation, breaking down of systems, death, destruction, and existential crisis. So the retrograde lets us go over what has changed, what has been lost, and help us take a deeper look into things. What are the hidden motivations? What secrets need to be uncovered? And how do you move forward in this new energy? Pluto is a slow-moving planet and will be retrograde until October. We have 3 more planets going retrograde in May, all in 1 week, days apart from each other. So I think I will make a separate podcast for them, but I will just mention now the planets involved, which are Saturn, Venus, and Jupiter. So this full moon opposes Mercury and the Sun conjunct each other. So when Mercury and the Sun conjunct this aspect, you are likely to have strong opinions which are not easy to change, an opportunity to really think for yourself and develop your own opinions. You may be stubborn in your thoughts and not willing to hear out other people. With it opposing the moon, you are being asked to take a second, deeper look. There may be more than meets the eye. So this full moon in Scorpio also makes a trine to Neptune. And so you need to tap into what spirituality means for you. This can be very helpful now. Walk into the spiritual, dreamy energy and see what you can find. A great aspect for daydreaming and to see and just watch where it takes you. This is a great energy to begin spiritual or artistic creative endeavors. The next conversation between planets is between Venus and Neptune, and they're making a square, so a challenging aspect. Venus is in the sign of Gemini, which means that she is interested in communication, research, and the truth. Being in Gemini means that there is more than one way to the truth, or there is more than one truth available at the current time. Venus really values looking into these subjects when she's in Gemini, but when it squares Neptune, the truth is hidden or hard to see. There are illusions and delusions surrounding the truth, and what you think you know most likely isn't the real truth at all. So the next aspect I want to look at is Pluto's square Eris, and I realized that I didn't include Eris in the chart that I had put up for you guys to see, but it's an aspect that I really want to talk about. So Pluto's the planet of destruction, and it's squaring Eris, and she is known as the goddess of discord. So when these two energies are squaring each other, I mean, that's a lot of friction. There's a lot of things going on. And considering that Pluto is the ruling planet of this full moon, I thought we should take a look at this. And I think there will be more energy present that shakes things up a little more. Sad to say. And then we also have the moon, what is called a parallel to Mars. So it's kind of like a conjunction type of energy. So Mars is about fighting, war, and courage. And I hope I'm wrong, but between the Pluto and Eris and then the moon parallel Mars, I think that there might be more talks about wars, violence, or conflict may become more present, kind of revealing itself this full moon in this cycle. So I thought I'd bring in another element of the full moon energy and just kind of talk to you about what tarot card this full moon represents. So, you know, it's kind of a quick touch on the subject to see the main energy that this full moon is representing. So it's representing the Six of Cups. So this card represents like nostalgia, looking back and remembering the way things were and wanting them to be like that again, and coming to terms with the fact that they are not like that anymore. It kind of looks back to like childhood memories and things that made you happy, right? And then the underlying card that goes with the moon, because it's in Scorpio, is the Death card in the tarot deck. I didn't pull up a picture of it, but basically, you know, we have been surrounded by, you know, death, transformation, change. These are energies that are present at the moment, and, you know, they will continue to be present, but I think that it's remembering to hold your own spiritual course through all of this, and to kind of just focus on yourself spiritually, focus on yourself mentally, and focus on yourself physically. How can you become self-sufficient? What can you do for yourself instead of relying on others? And just to end this off, I would like to touch on the nodes of the moon quickly. So the nodes of the moon aren't actually planets. They are points in the sky, but they're kind of like energetic points. And it's almost like, you know, waves, and they ripple into each other, and then it affects our story. So the nodes of the moon kind of move in a different way than the other planets. Number one, they retrograde. When a node starts, it starts at the back and then goes forward. So it starts at the 29 degrees and then goes back to 0. So that's different in itself. And then while they're doing that, they kind of retrograde and go back and forth within themselves. So there is a mean node and there's a true node. So basically the true node looks at where the nodes currently are. The mean node is basically like a math average of where the moon, if you take the average of it going back and forth and everything, like the mean node of where it would be. So some astrologers look at one and some look at the other. And so the true node has changed signs May 4th, and the mean node will change signs June 4th. So I kind of say like this in between time kind of gives us chance to get used to the story. So basically the nodes moved from the signs of Cancer and Capricorn into Gemini and Sagittarius. And This is also where the eclipses will be taking place. And when we move into the Gemini Sagittarius, the energy is mutable. So it's more changeable. So when it was in Cancer and Capricorn, it was a cardinal energy and it kind of forced itself and it did what it needed to do, right? With it now, it's kind of in mutable energy. It's going to be a little bit easier to go with the flow. Dealing with change is going to be a little bit more easier. So basically, when the nodes change sign, it's a new cycle. It's a new story. It's new energy coming in for us to learn to deal with. And the reason that I touched on the nodes is because the South Node is in Sagittarius, and that's kind of, the South Node is the past or where we came from or what we know, and the North Node is where we need to go to. So the North Node being in Gemini is about information, it's about research, it's about communication, it's about all those types of things. Well, the South Node's in Sagittarius, and this ties into the Six of Cups, because we may want to go back to what we know. Even as information becomes apparent with the North Node in Gemini, we may not want to accept it, and we might want to cling to those beliefs and what we had in the past. But the lesson here is to really take the information that you're getting and move forward into this new energy and this new cycle. So I hope that this was helpful for you guys, and I hopefully can get the retrograde special out within the next few days. And yeah, thanks for supporting me. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great, happy full moon.